Today's lesson is on angle pairs. So we're going to talk about adjacent and non-adjacent angles, complementary angles, supplementary angles, vertical angles, linear pair, and which formula I need to use. Okay, let's start out with adjacent and non-adjacent angles. So by definition, adjacent, so the D is silent, angles are two angles that are next to each other and share a common side. Okay, so angle 1 and angle 2 are sharing this side right here, so they are adjacent angles. Non-adjacent angles are angles that are not next to each other. So angle 1 and angle 2 do not share a common side, so they are not adjacent. Okay, complementary angles. Complementary angles are two angles whose sum, so I am adding, is 90 degrees. So I see a symbol that either is a perpendicular symbol or I see a symbol that looks like a box right here. So sometimes students will make the C into a 9. So it looks like a 9 to help them remember the total is 90. So complementary angles can be adjacent angles where they share a side. So angle 1 plus angle 2 totals 90 degrees. Or they can be non-adjacent and they can total 90. So they don't have to be adjacent. Supplementary angles. Supplementary angles are two angles whose sum, so again I'm adding, is 180 degrees. So when I add my two angles, they total 180 degrees, and these can be adjacent or non-adjacent angles. And sometimes students will make the S into an 8 to help remember the sum is 180. A linear pair, a lot of students will remember that it is a line, are two angles that are both adjacent and supplementary. So they form a straight line, so the sum again is 180 degrees. Okay, so these are adjacent. Supplementary angles are called a linear pair. Okay, so how do I know which formula I want to use? Anytime, last one, vertical angles. Vertical angles are two angles that are across from each other formed by intersecting lines. So when I have intersecting lines, I have an X. And the angles across from each other are congruent. So angles 1 and 3 are congruent, and angles 2 and 4 are congruent. Okay, so how do I decide which formulas to use? When I have vertical angles or congruent angles or arc marks, I set my angles equal to each other. If I have complementary angles or right angles or perpendicular, then I set my sum equal to 90. If I have supplementary, linear pair, or something that looks like a line, I set my sum equal to 180. Okay, so let's do some examples here. Okay, so in example number 1, I want to name adjacent angles, complementary angles, and supplementary angles. Okay, so let's start out with adjacent angles. So adjacent, the D is silent. These are angles that share a side. So I see I'm sharing a side here. So I want to name my angle by the vertex. So the vertex is the middle letter. So this can be angle CAD and angle CAB. Okay, I could also say I need to have A is the vertex, so A needs to be the middle letter, but I could also say this is angle DAC and angle BAC. So the first and the third letter can be changed, but the middle letter is the vertex. That is the same. All right, let's find some complementary angles. So complementary angles, that means I total 90 degrees. So if I look at 37 degrees and 53 degrees, I know 37 plus 53 equals 90. So I know I'm talking about angle CAB and angle RST. So I need to make sure I'm saying the vertex is the middle letter. About supplementary angles, I know my supplementary angles total 180 degrees. So I know 127 plus 53 equals 180. So the angles I'm talking about are angle CAD and angle RST. All right, so let's apply the next set of definitions, complementary and supplementary angles. Okay, angle 1 is the complement of angle 2, and measure of angle 1 is 62 degrees. Find the measure of angle 2. Okay, so I have the vocabulary word complement. So I know complement means my total is 90. So what does that look like? I know I have a 90-degree angle, and I have one angle 1 and an angle 2, and I know angle 1 is 62 degrees from here to here, and I know from here to here is 90 degrees. So I know if I add the measure of angle 1 plus the measure of angle 2, they total 90. So if I substitute in angle 1 is 62 degrees plus the measure of angle 2 equals 90. Solving for the measure of angle 2 is 90 minus 62, which is 28 degrees. And I have an angle, so my unit of measure is in degrees. Let's try the next one. Angle 3 is a supplement of angle 4, and the measure of angle 4 is 47 degrees. Find the measure of angle 3. I know a supplement, my two angles total 180 degrees. So I have two lines, so since they're 180 degrees, I'm drawing a line. So I have angle 3 and angle 4. And I know angle 4 is 47 degrees. And I know the whole thing is 180. So I can write my equation to say the measure of angle 3 plus the measure of angle 4 equals my total of 180. Substituting 47 in for the measure of angle 4. So the measure of angle 3 plus 47 equals 180. So the measure of angle 3 is 180 minus 47, which is 133 degrees. So again, I have an angle, so my unit of measure is in degrees, so make sure we put the degree symbol. All right, let's try a word problem. When viewed from the side, the frame of a soccer ball return net forms a pair of supplementary angles with the ground. Find the measure of angle BCE and the measure of angle ECD. Okay, so I have some supplementary angles. So since I have supplementary angles, I know when I add my two angles together, they total 180. So I'm going to add my two angles. So here is one angle. And here is my second angle. And I know my two angles total 180. Okay, so I'm going to write my equation where I have 4x plus 8 plus x plus 2. And that total is 180. I need to solve for the variable, and then I need to substitute back in to find each angle. Okay, so I'm going to combine like terms. So 4x plus x is 5x, and 8 plus 2 is 10, equals 180. I'm going to subtract 10 from both sides. So 5x equals 170. I'm going to divide both sides by 5. So x equals 34. So I'm trying to find the measure of angle BCE and the measure of angle ECD. So I need to go substitute now. So I'm going to substitute 34. 4 times 34 plus 8 is 144 degrees. And I'm going to substitute 34 plus 2 is 36 degrees. And if I add these two together, they total 180. So I know I did my math correct. Okay, let's try another example. Let's identify some linear pair and some vertical angles. So a linear pair in English means two. So these are supplementary, so they total 180. And they are adjacent. So they are next to each other. So if I look, I see a line here, and this would be 180. So I know I have angle 4 and angle 5 would be a linear pair. If I look here, this is 3 angles, so I can't use angles 1, 2, and 3. And if I just keep going around, so if I tried this one, and then if I tried this one, what I see is I have angle 1 and angle 4. Okay. So vertical angles are across from each other and they make an X. So these two sets of angles will be congruent in these two sets. So where can I make an X? So I'm thinking I can make an X with this and with this one. So these two angles are across from each other. So angle 1 and angle 5. There aren't any more. Okay, one more word problem. So this is a pure word problem, no picture. Two angles form a linear pair. So I know a linear pair means they total 180. That's supplementary angles that are adjacent. The measure of one angle is 5 times the measure of the other angle. Find the measure of each angle. So let's start out. Let's draw a diagram. So I have two angles that total 180. And I know that because linear pair means I am supplementary. So I have one angle, I'm going to call that x, and one angle that's 5 times larger for 5 times x. So to set up my equation, I'm going to add my two angles and they total 180. So x plus 5x equals 180. Combine like terms, 6x equals 180. Divide both sides by 6. And I get x equals 30. So now I'm going to substitute in, so I know x is 30 degrees. And 5 times 30 is 150. So my two angles, if I add these together, 150 plus 30 is 180, so I know I did my math correct. End of lesson.